So I have had such a blast having all these conversations with all the speakers, and I was actually a little sad when it was over, which means I am even more excited when it turns out I get to have a bonus conversation, and not just any bonus conversation. I get to have one with you, Mark. This is so fun.
Oh, it is. Well, let's find out and make
Well,
sure.
if I remember correctly, because we met before, um,
Yes.
I have faith that we can manage to have a conversation.
Yes. We had good interactions before.
Yes, yes. So for me, I usually recommend people like if they're going to look into any of the substructure into the variables, I show them the light blue, dark blue diagrams that are set up. I'm like, these are marks. You can trust them. So you've been in human design for a long time, and
Yeah.
I've watched how you like maybe the last year or so, how you've come out as the authority that you are in the subject with your own words. Because previously I've seen you like share raw quotes mainly and stick a
It's
lot
been
to
a long
talk.
time since that, but yeah.
But I see that's how I see that you, and luckily we need to have like the long timers come out and share the wisdom that comes out of long time looking at the system, and you also as a projector, really valuable. So I like to see that. So how has the last year been for you?
Well, it's interesting. I've been almost 20 years into design. I've been, let's see, 16 and a half or more years on Facebook dealing with human design. And it's an interesting progression over time to where I've been, where groups are, where people are. And I also see people evolve over time in these platforms like Facebook. People I know personally, people I haven't met yet, people who will meet. But it's interesting. So, my own personal journey, especially over the last year, in changes, um, I haven't been as much involved in some of the groups that I've been involved with as much, contributing um, my commentary on posts to bring clarity to certain subject areas. I've been mostly posting on my own page. Um, some themes have been consistently the same, one being no choice. It's been a huge one, surrendering, and really about seeing, which are all interconnected and all based on the pillars and the foundations of human design, what it's all built upon. Um, so I've been emphasizing for a while uh, the importance of those foundations and to really encapsulate why this is all happening in a way or how you could perceive it. And that's been an interesting progression over the last year or so. Just and the interactions with people, the people who align to it and the people who don't align to it just yet, and what's manifested from that. And it's interesting because they usually, I see progressions of where people are at. And when you speak no choice and no surrender, it's like, or excuse me, no choice and surrender. Uh, um, what you're getting to is a point where you're relinquishing the power or the ego of the I, the self identification that you did something. And I always had a challenge with that prior to human design because I heard this myself. I downloaded that these things there was no free will. All right. And science has actually shown that also. And, but there's a level of where people are at that they're going to get to that point where they're at the cusp and either they break through the clouds of seeing of it for what it is, or not. And that's okay. But I'm just doing what, seemingly is my part in the equation. So that's what I just do what I get is correct to do
Hmm.
and not to really do much more than that.
Hmm. it seems also to me that that we're getting more and more to the point where we're actually looking to the projectors and asking what you see. So I like that there are authorities around, and I think it was in one of the conversations I had with one of the other speakers, um, and she said, like, do you know any other male projectors in human design? I was like, yeah, Mark. So it's like, I know a few others too. It seems to be time, and we seem to be more ready to actually listen to like your voice, for one.
Well, and my voice is also tied to my right mind a lot. So a lot of that has to be um, questioned out of me. Somebody presents something, and that's what I do with my HD satsangs, my question and answer periods usually, is because I don't know sometimes. I know stuff and I could say stuff, but often it's in the moment of what that moment is requiring being brought out by somebody who's asking a question that I may or may have some kind of answer for that emerges from what they call the right-minded well, right? So a lot of that has to depend on the other person and what they're bringing out. So when you're in a space with people who are into human design, that brings out a different quality of response or an answer than maybe in other situations.
Mm.
It depends upon the person or the context of where you're interacting with, what you get to hear.
Mm.
So it's always funny because I don't know what I'm going to say until I'm going to say it too. And sometimes I'm just as ardent a listener as the person who I'm sharing it with, because I'm like, that's interesting. And then someone's like, you know, can you repeat that? I'm like, no, I don't even know what I just said, actually. I mean, I could attempt to, but I don't think it's going to come out like it did the original version. Hope someone recorded it, because it's really cool process to be experience, even being part of it, let alone being outside of it, looking and have this exchange where these things just emerge. And it's quite interesting process.
So
Yeah.
I guess that I had a question like how did you get to do these Q&A satsangs? But I guess this answers a little bit of it, that it's a format that will pull out answers in you. But when did you start? How did that come about?
I've been wanting to do them for a long time, and I've always had questions and answers. Like, even before human design, I was a professional intuitive. I would read people, and they would just bring up stuff, and things would just emerge, like layers and layers and layers. And it was quite remarkable. But later on, I really liked I love the mechanics. It's a system that I am drawn to. I have no choice. Right? Human design I've studied a lot of other esoteric, mystical modalities, also mundane business things, all different types of systems. And human design is the one that keeps grounding everything in my reality of what I experience. I just see mechanics. It's not like I have to figure them out. It's like watching the matrix screen with the numbers and the symbols, and it's just like I just see it, you know. But I don't say anything unless someone's asking me about it. When you're first new to this, and you especially projector, and you could see the merits of like, ooh, human design, this is real cool. This is good stuff. You could see it right away. I mean, this is like, and then you get to know it a little bit. Boy, do you want to share that with everybody, right? So you're telling people this, you're telling people that. And I've come to the conclusion over years that doesn't matter. The people that you're meant to help, you will help at the correct time that you're meant to help them. Because the timing is also an issue. Just because I can help anybody out there. I really could read anybody, give them all kinds of advice on a deep level. But that's not what I'm here for. That's not my right or their to connect with me in that way. They may never have that connection with somebody, or it may be someone else at a different time, or maybe it is me, but just not now. And maybe I have to say it in a different way down the line. Who the heck knows? But until they come and ask, then, you know, it doesn't mean anything. It's just potential. Like anything, it's just sitting there. It's at the top of the hill, getting ready to be pushed down to gain momentum and release the energy, right? So this is just purely a mechanical way of dealing with other people. And so satsangs I found were a great way to connect with people in the moment. And especially being splenic and being right-minded and not really here to be strategic like I was conditioned to be, right? Besides being a not self manifestor or a not self super slave generator, besides those advents, is the left strategic world, and not the left, pure left, the not self left world that permeates everywhere. Because there's a distinction there too. You know, just because you're left doesn't mean you operate like the world operates left. But being conditioned to be something I'm not, to operate in a way that's strategic, was not there. That's why I don't even promote myself. I don't do any of that. It's like so inorganic and forced. Not that I'm against the promotion of things. It's just I can't be strategic. I know strategy. I can tell people how to be strategic, what strategies to take. But to be strategic as a right-minded being, no way. It's so counterintuitive, counter feeling, counter everything. It's icky. You can feel it. It's like this nasty ooze in your energetic field that you're like, oh, I need to take a shower from this, you know? And so these satsangs provide an opportunity for having a clean exchange where the frequency is clean. Now, while I know every possible answer that comes to the question, who knows? Usually it's worked out that way, that there's some possible something to glean, because that's probably why they're asking at that time while I'm there. You know, I look at everything in a macro cosmic level, not just in the mundane micro level. You know, one-on-one, I'm saying, well, there's a bigger picture to all this. We're all tied into it. Whether we see it or not, it's another story. It's obvious to me.
So how is it you see it? It's like, do you see it in humans, around humans, or in your mind?
I you know, I just know things. I see things. I hear things. See things. You know, I just, you know, all those clair cognizant, clairaudient, clairsentient, clair. I'm like egg Claire. I got a whole bunch of stuff. You know, not with the whipped cream, the custard in there, but I can't eat that anymore. No, them whipped cream egg Claires, but no, no. But it's funny. It's like there's just things I know. I just put my, you know, I have a left, you know, I'm PRLDLR, so I have a left active brain with a left focused perspective. But here I am in this right relaxed body with this right receptive mind. So they work really nice together in this juxtaposition, right? So when I focus on something, I'm very intuitive. My brain's picking up all kinds of stuff. But if I'm not focused, I have no idea. I'm just like, I'm floating like a cloud. I have no idea what I know. But as soon as I put my attention to something, I can read somebody. I mean, you could think of somebody, I can read them. That's just, you know, that's there. Now I use the mechanics to augment that ability to connect dots intuitively, to know how to say something, when to say it, so it connects the dots with that person at that moment so they get some clarity. And that's the point, to help them see, to help them connect their dots, not a generic dot, because they have this gate and this channel and this center and this and that, which are all fine. But it's about how do we synthesize all these things together, encapsulate it in a moment that can make sense to this person right now, right here
Mm.
that's relevant, that they can identify with. And that's what I do.
Mm.
That's, but it depends on the other. And that's why when I give a reading to somebody or even a satsang or question, I thank them, because as a projector, without the other, there is no me giving guidance.
Mm.
There's no sharing of outer authority, what we're here to do. There's none of that. So I'm very grateful when people, hire me, or I'm at a class or a satsang and they're exchange, or just informally. They're like, hey, Mark, what are your thoughts? And if it's correct for me to give them an answer, that's juice. That's life for me.
Mm.
As a projector, when you can be that in that outer authority space, there's nothing like it.
Mm.
There's nothing like it. It's better than sex. It's better than any of that food or anything. I mean, those are all good. They all have their time and place. But when a projector is really sharing their outer authority and they're helping and guide the other person, there's nothing like it. Nothing, at least in my experience.
Mm.
You know, and it takes some time to become that projector as conditioned adults. Just because you're born with the design of a projector or a generator or a manifesting generator, a manifester or a reflector, whatever type of arrangement you are, that's just your potential. Because most of the time, it's been bombarded with conditioning of all kinds. And you can give a 3-hour lecture just on conditioning and not even scratch the surface of all the different ways conditioning impacts people. The layers of conditioning that we experience. So when people say, well, I'm this or I'm that, and my friend's this, my friend's that, I go, yeah. They have the design, they have that potential, but are they living that correctly as themselves? And I came up with a coined a phrase a long time ago. When I was metaphysical, this intuitive, and I was very aware and awake of a lot of things, but I wasn't necessarily operating correctly all the time. And I also say predominantly incorrect or probably not, predominantly not correct or predominantly correct, because we always, there's times in our past when I was recognized and invited correctly, but they were so far and few between, they stood out, But I lived predominantly not self-led. So I always said I was enlightened not self, was the term I coined. It's like I was aware of a lot of shit, but I was still operating as not self. And that takes time, because as a conditioned adult, this is not really for us. This is not for us. It is, but it isn't in a way. It's for us to go through, pave the road so that the generations that follow, raising kids correctly from birth is something that will emerge naturally. So they don't have to go through the crap that we went through.
Have you ever had the chance to watch a projector child grow up correctly?
I've watched some children getting raised correctly, a little bit, not as intimately for a projector as some other types, but there are some, and there are some getting good guidance with that. And it's tough because, projectors are a different animal. Non-sacrals in a way are very different. Very hard to, projectors, we're not here to work in a traditional sense, of what the world says, oh, you need to work, you got to put in the time and the effort and all that. Yeah, okay. In a different way, maybe to learn that you don't need to do that. I'm a 3-5 dude. You learn a lot of things that, that don't work in order to know what does work, So there's that. And I've certainly had a 3-5 life for sure. Which has helped me wear a lot of shoes and hats to help people. And I do help parents of people who have kids. They're raising their kids or with some of the knowledge of the mechanics, what it means to be that design of that particular child. But how it relates to them, or it relates to the penta, or it relates to, these different aspects of the mechanics that are talking about how we raise somebody correct. How can they be themselves? How can we empower this child to really live correctly as themselves in a sea of distortion that is the world we still live in? And it is not easy because we got a lot of people who are close to us who don't want people to change for whatever reason. That's the role in the movie. But people in general don't like when people change because it impacts how they look, how it interrupts their life. Well, if you change, what does our relationship mean now? Who are you to me now? You can't change. You'll be different. And what happens? We're not going to be friends anymore. We're not going to be this anymore. We're not going to be that anymore. So people are reluctant to change. People fear change. You see that in the world. We have a first line background frequency now. It's rooted in fear and authoritarianism. And we're getting that right now big time. So how do we raise kids? One step at a time. One mechanic at a time. If you can get one good, two good, three good things so you can instill that reinforce the true nature of somebody, that's what's important.
Do you have any tips for the parents out there?
Well, know thyself, know the other, know your child, know the interaction is challenges that potentially, because when you have a mom and a child, say, they have each individual, their own individual body graph with their own particular mechanics. Then they come together, they create a third person, and that you have to honor all three of those people, And then if you're in a penta, you got the penta takes over, so it loses some of the individuality. And then the penta can fluctuate depending on who's in or out at any given moment. So it's about understanding some of the nature and dynamics at play and make it not so personal. I think the key to mechanics is that it's not personal, it's design. It's one of my favorite quotes. It's not personal, it's design. When you can get to the level of looking at things mechanically, objectively, without taking it personal, that's when you know you've reached a level of seeing and awareness that is really crucial to your own self-growth and awareness. Because the not self takes everything personal. Takes everything personal. Is very offended. It's very offended and very takes things personally. So if you find yourself in that conundrum of feeling that way, then you know that you're in a state of the not self. And you can be okay. I would like say, oh, I'm in that not self state at the moment. I see, okay. And you write it out and see how long it takes. Usually the awareness can help shift it sooner than being lost in it. But if you can have that awareness in a child and the parent and just say, oh, that's my mechanics. And it's like buttering bread, a toast, it's like just one of the things you do. It's like you eat, you go to the bathroom and you talk mechanics. I mean, it's just natural. You get dressed in the morning or not, depending.
Depending on where you live, I guess.
Yeah, or how your lifestyle is. But yeah, to be in the nudist colony, they still have mechanics there.
Nude mechanics.
It's like you just have to. There's a way to connect a dot or two or three where it can really help ground everybody in a dynamic that fosters awareness, growth, acceptance. And if you screw up, okay, We know it's a screw up. Okay, no big deal. We know what it is. We know why it is. We know why it happened. And even if you don't get to that detail, if you have some level of awareness, not to take things personally, and know certain mechanical realities, that really helps put things in a proper context. Because life is context. Everything is context. And if people could see that and connect that, and that's what I love doing, is connecting these dots and getting thoughts in people's heads and connecting why this would be important, or where, how you do that, where to find that, places that people might not really look or go to. And that's one of the things I do. I've always seen things differently. I've always seen another step, another layer, and bring that to the simple. Synthesize all that into something that is tangible to that individual. And that's the idea of a satsang too, though, is, if you had a group of kids, that would be even better. I mean, a group of little ones, they would be amazing to have a satsang with, because the questions they come up with are so awesome. I mean, the awareness sometimes of the unjaded child is quite a thing to experience. But to have that with adults, and you can connect it to people, and have that, because a lot of times what I find is that even though that question was asked by a particular person, there's so much relevance in the whole room. It's like this own morphogenic field that's created where everyone's in that energetic field, like needing to be there for whatever reason. Whether it's 3 people, 20 people, 100 people, it doesn't matter. Those groups, that amount of people had to be there in that situation to deal with this experience. Now, do they have the ability to step back and say, why did I experience this? Is the question even asked after the fact? Or did that reflect anything? Did that teach me anything? Did that show me something? What happened in that thing? What can we glean from that experience? Oh, we saw the magic of people coming together, and people like in there, and people had connections that really made sense to them and empowered them, and people came out of there feeling hopeful. See, I'm hope motivation. So when I deal with someone and they're feeling more hopeful, it's me, my outer authority was putting out the hope. And then I feel success. The group feels success because I'm a projector. This is success. Or they're satisfied with what the experience was as a generator, or they're feeling at peace as a manifester, or look at the surprise and wonderment of that reflector. Like, wow, that was cool. Yeah. And that's how you know. When people say, how do you know something? Well, what's your signature? What's your not so signature? That's a good tell.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, especially for the generator in particular. Maybe not so easy for projectors. What do you think about that?
Oh no, I think you could taste the bitterness, right? But it depends on mechanics of something, because again, it comes to the level of awareness of where you are in your process. Because if you're initiating, even with great intentions, even with the correct answer. I remember I got to segue to the story because I love it. There was one of my last jobs a long time ago. Thankfully. One of my last job it was actually. I was an inside sales manager for a company in Los Angeles, and I saw the outside sales manager talking to another person after work, sort of, and they were asking a question, and I'm probably 4 years in now, 3.5, 4 years into my thing. And no, I'm going to have fun with this. Let's see the mechanics at work here. So I know the only answer to this question. There is only one answer. It was about a specific question with a specific answer, and I knew it. They didn't know it. They were going back and forth. I knew the answer. Also know where I know this comes up a lot. But anyway, I knew the answer, and I said, all right, let me share. These guys turn around and go, who the F asked you? And I started laughing because it was so demonstratively strong, like not like, oh, get out of here, no. Who the F asked you? And I just laughed. They don't know why I was laughing. They probably thought I was nuts. And I'm like, oh, I knew it was so funny. But see, because I said, I'm just going to interject and give them the answer, even though it's 100% the only answer there is, truthfully. And I still got the negative feedback. Why? Because no one asked me. No one recognized it. Hey, Mark, do you know the answer to this question? And just because I got invited doesn't mean I have to share it. Right? That's another problem that projectors have. They say yes to any old invitation. Is that no, they didn't ask me, and it shot back in my face. So when we get to the level of awareness where people are at, they have to understand that that's the blowback. So if they're experiencing bitterness and life's not fair, or if you're a third line, not self-martyr victim, why is this happening to me again? I know that movie all too well.
The Boo-hoo movie.
Yeah. And if you don't have that awareness, then you don't know. Like if I'm hope. So if my motivation, shifts, transfers into guilt, am I trying to fix it? And there's a fine line between hope and fix, and that's in the invitation. You can almost say the same things, but because one is brought to you by recognition, invitation that's correct to accept, and you share it, it could give hope, and you're not really fixing anything. Because, guilt as your true color is a different frequency than guilt as a transferred color. That's a bastardized frequency. It's not even close to the same thing. It's the ugly, beat down version of it. It's like the disgusting mop at a club after everyone threw up. That's how bad it is. I know the visual out, but that's the qualitative frequency of that transference.
Yeah.
In terms of how you experience it. Now, it's important to experience it. That's how we see.
Yeah.
That's how we get to know contrast. Without this, you can't have that. Without that, you can't have this. If everything was solid, you wouldn't see anything. It would just be linear. It would be nothing. So it's not the same frequency. So generators too can respond in a moment. They'll know a little bit, pure generators. Now we're not talking about half of them that are emotionally defined because they don't respond in the moment. They respond yes, no questions. They're not really geared for them in that way. It's a process over time. Time is their best friend, or anyone who's emotionally defined. But they get to see viscerally that frustration. It's not just, you could feel it. It just exudes it. It just emanates. It just pours out like a nasty sweat. It's like, you just ate garlic and you just got all sweaty. And that's what everybody, oh my God, you eat garlic? How do you know? Oh, we know. It's like when the generator gets frustrated, oh, we know. Or a projector gets bitter, or a manifestor gets angry.
We know.
Or, a reflector gets disappointed. Well, you could see it. You can feel it. It's visceral. It's tangible.
Yep.
I mean, it's all those things. So if you look at the not self and the self and the signatures respectively, gives you a great barometer. And generators understanding their mind, I think, is important too. Their leftness and rightness, and whether or not, the digestion. And I think digestion metaphorically is almost more important than literal sometimes. Because there's a lot of people that may not be here to follow their PHS determination, their dietary regimen, or it might take them 7 years after their initial 7 years to start that 7-year price. That's another 7-year process of refinement. It's been my experience. But metaphorically, when someone's like me, a hot thirst, there's things that I want to consume. Give it to me. I like it. It's hot. Give it to me. Human design. It's hot stuff. Give it to me. And a human design could be cool to a cool person. That's just cool, man. Give it to me, cool. It's a different way it takes it in, a little cooler. But it wants to be third. It wants to drink, but in a cool way. Me, I'm like, give it to me hot, baby, hot. And that's with every other dietary regimen. So if you look at those things and you tie it together with your signature and your motivation, you can get a good idea of your response to things and where you're at any given moment. But then again, generators just can follow a response too.
Sounds simple
now, my son's a 4/6 pure generator, and he has a strong gut. But what helped him was understanding that his undefined ego. He was hyper competitive, and his calm digestion. So it's like they were not working together. So he changed that up. He reconciled it, came to terms with that, and has lived more calmly, even moved to a more calmer environment because he's digesting the environment as well. It's frequencies. This is what this is about. It's not, literally the food, sure, but that food is a frequency. That drink is a frequency. The other person's a frequency that you're taking in. The group is a frequency. The subject matter is a frequency. The author of that subject matter is a frequency. And either you align to it in resonance, harmonic, or it's dissonant.
I always looked at it as how you take in nutrition, whether it being food or information or people or surroundings. And I can just imagine your son with an undefined ego and then growing up with you. Talk about conditioning. So.
Oh, how dare you? Yes.
Oh, it means you have
my 25-51 competitive, needing to be first, even though often I was just first. But that just, that's the result of it. First in trends a lot. I was just talking about that today with somebody. But it's different. But it's like when you're undefined like that, the most competitive people in the world are undefined egos. Michael Jordan, who's considered like one of the hyper competitive, most greatest basketball player ever, undefined ego. And if you watch his first episode of his docuseries as the first episode is masterclass in conditioning from his parents and masterclass in really conditioning that undefined ego to be the best, the greatest.
There's no end to it though. When it's
there's no end because and you also look at somebody like that, they're never fully satiated with that. They're always lacking. If you look at Michael Jordan, sometimes he looks like the unhappiest person on the planet. He's like a very competitive gambler too. He's like, he'll gamble on it because he needs that. He's stoked that beast as an example. Now, that's why other people who have undefined emotional centers always appear to be the most emotional. And the people who don't, who have it defined, sometimes don't even know they're emotional. Other people might not even know they're emotional, but it's that undercurrent. But then any undefined center or open center has the opportunity to be really, really masterful in observation and seeing what's what.
That's where you get to experience difference.
Yes, where you can see, oh, that's not me being emotional. That's just the emotions. It's not me being competitive. That's the field, the environment that's being here. It's like my son just started slapping on his music. He used to play like every game, like Kobe Bryant, game 7, last second in the NBA championship, blocking shots, trying to shoot, win at all costs. Then he put on his headphones, relaxed, played ball, didn't care about it. He just enjoyed himself. I said, was that a more satisfying experience? He goes, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. You know, much more. You know, and then whether he won or lost, it didn't matter. He enjoyed playing. The experience was satisfying.
Mm.
This is where the experience is everything. What do you glean from the experience? Is it satisfying? Is it frustrating? Is it successful? Is it bitter inducing? Does it make you angry or bring you peace? Are you filled with disappointment or wonder, surprise? You know? And it's amazing when you could see people be themselves.
Mm.
Even if they're not that predominantly, and you get a glimmer of what they could really be like. You know, your dad, your mom, a brother, a sister, or somebody, a friend that's not quite as maybe aware or awake or in that space, but you see that glimmer where something goes off and you go, oh, there they are. That's really more like who they are, not that other thing, you know, that conditioned thing.
Yeah.
Who's also who we are. We got to love ourselves for all that because the not self, the shadow's the teacher, part of self. You can't escape the duality of definition and openness.
And the essence in the definition is going to be there, distorted or not, but the essence is there. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And often, you know, that's a good point, though. You mentioned the word distorted. You know, a lot of people don't realize that definition, just because it's definition, doesn't mean it's coming out clean. It doesn't mean it's living authentically as it's designed to be, you know, to be. That could be bastardized. That could be screwed with. You know, it doesn't come out clean. You know, I have a defined ego. I can come out of, is it obnoxious ego or some kind of, you know, over the top ego,
You think
not
you
a
don't?
balanced ego. Yeah. 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 It's like, yeah, it's there. You know, it's been experienced by me and others, plenty of others,
Oh, yeah.
you know, or the knowing, you know, I'm a knower. Oof, that knowing got me in trouble. With my cross attention, 39, provoking people with my knowing. I just know things and it bothers the hell out of people in my
It's
past.
it's that provocation that's like my very lasting impression of you has been in these like banters, these provocations coming out of you in such a way that it'll make people laugh.
Yeah, laugh. People think, you know, that's the way you know, I like to. It naturally emerges where I bring humor to something because you have to make fun of it because we've all been the not self, our own special version, you know, of this thing that's been so distorted But that's one thing I love about mechanics and people getting involved in mechanics. This is a way this is a way to show you forgiveness to yourself, even though there's nothing to forgive. There's nothing to forgive, but this is a way to show forgiveness. When I had human design, it was from my teacher who taught me how to be this mystic person, a healer, energy work, and intuitive stuff. It was like a shot out of a cannon, he said. I was just like, boom, there. But unbeknownst to me, he's doing human design in between that times. And he's like, hey, you'd be into this. You became an analyst. And he's like, you should really look into this. And I give you a reading. I was like, okay, let's do a reading. I saw the symbol in a esoteric magazine when I was in California, but I never investigated. But it was there, caught my eye. It brought my eye. I like the geometry of the shapes of it. So I'm into sacred geometry too. But I'm like, I like the shapes of it. And when he told me all this, the first thing I could do I was like, forgiving myself for being this projector. And we didn't even get into the depths of like right-mindedness or any of these other layers that
it wasn't around. He hadn't even.
Yeah, I know, but it was in the beginning of that, but it wasn't, I got in 2005. So but what it did was I can immediately see the truthfulness in it, in the mechanic. I can identify it crystal clear in that moment. How it really aligned to my experience. And it helped reconcile my thoughts about the experience and how hard I was on myself. And why it was a challenge for me in certain circumstances being a parent with a generator wife and a generator son at times, trying to make shit happen, work in the world in a traditional way with all my skills, talents, and abilities, but not the energy to support it. It's just energy. It was no blame. My ex-wife once said, I don't care what you do as long as you work. And bring up. It's like I didn't know at the time that was like a knife sticking me in the gut. I didn't know why.
Worst.
Like right in the soul. And then years later, I'm recalling this story, but I remember during that reading going, I forgive everybody. And I always had anyway. I didn't blame my parents for anything. I said I didn't believe in. I heard there was no free will before. I heard when Rob brought it up, the voice said that, and that just aligned me. Yes, like when I heard that, it just aligned me more, as well as the totality thing. But we'll get into that another time. But when I heard that, it reconciled my experience, and that's such a gift that human design could bring to people. It's a tool for forgiveness. And there's nothing to forgive. And what I mean by that is we experience life. There's no accidents. Things are meant to happen. So life happens to you. Good stuff, bad stuff, this stuff, that stuff, blue stuff, red stuff. It doesn't matter. It's all stuff. And it's how we can contextualize it, look at it, see it, hold it, and honor it for what it is. Most everything is a self-reflection tool. Relationships are big on that. They help us see ourselves often.
Yeah, it's I think there's more than just myself that listen to this and can like nod in recognition that this like compassion, I guess, to ourselves for the design that we have, and that it just is the way that it is. And I hear Ra, it's like this is a way with strategy and authority, is a way to reduce the resistance in navigating life. And this is really what it's done to me. It's like something happens and I try my best not to judge it as good or bad. It is, and then not resist it, because that's where my suffering comes in. You know, pain is there
Yes.
sometimes and sometimes not, but if I don't resist it and I just deal with what is, it's less suffering, at least. So
Yeah, and I think that comes over time.
yeah.
I think, that's why, it really takes 7 years to get to start living as yourself. That first 7 year period is a major cleanup period. That's if you're living radically in the design aspect, not half ass kind of frequency. Not that anyone has a choice in that, but the reality is you need to have that kind of full-fledged momentum building over those 7 years to even really begin to live as yourself in year 8. In year 8. And then I would say, well, wait until year 15, because then you might actually start really seeing yourself as who you are.
Mm.
And each 7 year period as a conditioned adult. Because we're not being raised correctly from birth again. And that's an important context. So there's and I don't blame people. I remember at the 7 year mark, I was going to write a book about projectors, a guide's guide to being a projector. I started. It was still there somewhere in my computer folder somewhere.
Some file.
Might have looked at it twice since then. And not too long ago, I said, I'm very happy that I did not finish it.
Why?
Because I am such a different person. And my way of seeing is so much clearer than I was in year 7 or 8. It's not even funny. Now, I knew a lot then. I experienced a lot then. I could analyze a lot then. But, knowledge is not the only thing. And that comes easy to a lot of projectors because we're the intellectual type. So we're here to study systems. Bring it on, bring it on, And if you design your system, bring it on. There's lots of layers. And I was one of those guys. So I could see a lot just from an intellectual perspective. And I was wise in my experiences of my past and other metaphysical components, plus my years in human design as themselves and my experience dealing with that. However, no, you're not the same person. You write a book about human design and you're in your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th year. That's not a book that you would maybe really enjoy 7 years later. I read stuff that I wrote when I was more in my theist trajectory days of my motivation. Oof, it's hard to read. It is.
Yeah. Have you noticed though that one thing is that you're seeing is different because of this the time in it. Have you noticed that your guidance, I don't know, lands deeper? That there's a resonance in the frequency where it's coming from?
Well, yeah, the piggyback and finish what I was actually my thought was just because you intellectually understand, the experiential part is huge. I've had some posts on my page about that, where it was very important for that body of wisdom to come from experience itself. But experience without the context of the knowledge doesn't have any weight either, because it doesn't have a context to put it in and to share it in a way, because it just could be anyone's experience. Well, how does that relate to me? Well, it may or may not, who knows? But when you have mechanics behind it, at least you can connect certain layers and dots in a way that could tell a story that could convey a certain level of wisdom gleaned from that experience and knowledge. The knowledge alone is not going to work. Experience alone is not going to work. You have to bring them together. And this is what a lot of people do not have yet. Yet. That's what I see. In honesty, that's what I see. When I look at a lot of Facebook groups and stuff, I don't see that yet. I see a lot of knowledge. I see some people with a lot of experience, but there's very few that I see you bringing them both together. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing. Just my observation. And I look at these things. I look at patterns. That's what I do. I'm very pattern oriented. I'm a outer vision projector. You know, the 4816. I'm like, these are the patterns. I'm, you know, there's some shit I see. But I say it in the context and I bring it up, and I have brought it up over the years, like these themes that we talked about. Like we have the potential of our design. Doesn't mean we're living it. Well, if I'm 20 years in living as a projector and someone has been living predominantly not self, and we're both called projectors, how do you make the distinction? Is that fair to either of us? I guess on some level, we're both projectors. But are they really living as a projector? Maybe, maybe not. What degree? Same thing with being a generator, right?
Yeah.
If you're living correctly as a generator and you're watching other people who are not living correctly as a generator, making mental decision after mental decision, but I'm a generator, are you really? You have a design of one, but are you living as one? Are you actually responding to life? Something outside yourself, not from inside the cabeza? See, that's a lot of generators get caught up. They respond to a thought inside their mind. They can respond to the TV commercial. They can respond to somebody standing in line at the store or someone directly having a conversation with them. You're responding to outside stimuli, not internal. This, you know, mind, you know, the petty tyrant is what I would like to call.
Yeah. I remember in my early days, I think it took me like 5 years. I wanted to understand what is response. And it took two non-sacrals, took a manifestor and a projector to, from the outside, explain it to me so that I understood. And that's when I had a moment of where I just laughed. I burst out laughing. It's like I didn't need to know that because it happens. I need to recognize.
Well, it happened.
Yeah.
And those are beautiful moments, right? That was a beautiful moment.
I still have those. I'm like,
yeah,
in my 18th year, so I'm not a newbie to watching this, but I still get like, there's that. Like I had one this weekend. Yeah, just like, oh wow. So
it's an evolving process. I say it's a never-ending process. I call it a refinement process. 7-year cycles of refinement. 7-year cycles of refinement until you die. You know, because that's the nature of this process. I'm certainly not through mine. You know, I'm still here, and therefore I still have to experience more, evolve more, learn more, see more, whatever it is, help people more, whatever or not, whatever that is that it takes. That's what I'm here to experience. We all have our trajectory. You know, we all have a trajectory in life. This is not the motivational trajectory of, say, like a theist, anti-theist, like I was talking about earlier. This is our trajectory in life, our life path, our personal line of geometry, the people, places, and things we're supposed to meet when we're supposed to meet them. This is not something we've chosen. And there's a lot of that in the New Age spiritual world. I chose my parents. I chose. Really? Okay. So then you chose that and you chose not to be there. It screwed up the whole cycle and no one gets to meet anyone down the road. You know, it's the vanity of the eye. People have to let go of the vanity of the eye.
Mm.
And it's the hardest thing to do.
Mm.
Let go of the eye, of the mind's control, the illusion of choice,
The surrendering that you
the
talked about at the
surrendering.
beginning. Yeah, yeah.
I don't care why something happens. I don't care. I don't need a reason. Just if I get a yes for something or I get a no for something, I don't care why. The whys usually come later,
Mm.
but I don't care. It doesn't matter. And that's one of the things I instill in people. Because if you're looking for reasons, you're already lost in the mind. Your gut doesn't care. No one's authority cares about the reason. Because there's things unbeknownst to the mind or what you think you know that are behind the scenes operating that you're not privy to.
Mm.
You're just here to experience them.
Mm.
And that's why I said there's two ways of seeing predominantly. You're seeing either through the lens of the self or the lens of the not self. Sounds like you're really choosing whether you chose self or not self. It doesn't really work that way.
Is it like the 3D glasses? You get one lens on one eye and one lens on the other eye, and then it gets all weird. Hmm.
Well, it can. It's and people, even people well in design have a hard time with this sometimes about relinquishing control, relinquishing surrender, or because they need to look at where they are in relation to other people, where they are, what they thought their life should be.
Mm.
Because if part of the human experiential ways ends in gate 35, which is the gate of progress and change, but it's also the gate of expectations.
Mm.
It's a gate of satiation or unsatiation because everything has a polarity. So when you have a new experience, you think you want this. Want and like is a very mind engaging two words.
Mm.
Oh, what do you want? Oh, I want this. All right. Is it correct for you to have that?
Mm.
Uh-uh. Oh, what? Yeah, well, that's because you may be correct to want it or to like it. It doesn't mean it's correct for you to experience it, or at least in that moment,
And vice
forever,
versa.
or vice
Oh, I
versa.
don't think I want this. I don't want to do this. And oh shit.
Exactly. You know how many times people like that, and they're like, "Damn," and it's like I got to do it then. It's like, but yes, see, that's where you surrender and you just go with the flow because you don't know. It could be the best experience of your whole entire life that you didn't want to do. The best,
Yep.
most meaningful, impactful, spiritual, growth inducing, awareness seeing experience if you ever had. But you didn't want it. And that's why it's important to really see, is this me wanting something? Because that's a projected belief based on what? An expectation of what you think life should be. Whose expectation? The way the world thinks you should operate, the way your parents think you should operate, the way your friends think you should operate, the way your boss thinks you should operate,
Or your mind based on all
or
of
your
these things.
mind. Yeah, all the conditioning that influences that. Or your dream when you wake up and the conditioning of your dreams. People don't even look into could be your biggest freaking conditioning element. It's when you sleep. The Godheads. Oh, I'm doing this and that. Yeah, you're doing exactly as your Godheads are doing. I aligning. There's all these different factors at play. So it's like to just even to ask to have the mind be able to ask the question, what am I seeing? What is this? Is this self? Is this not self? Is this being aligned correctly? Is it not? Am I experiencing satisfaction or frustration? Am I, you know, what is it that I'm getting here? How was that interaction? Was it smooth? Was there resistance? Was it a healthy resistance or unhealthy resistance? You know, not all resistance is necessarily bad, quote unquote, or good, quote unquote. But there are ranges of the frequency that may elicit certain qualities of that experience. You know, if you're indissonant to something and you experience it, well, it's probably something you need to experience that you understand dissonance. But it doesn't mean you need to spend all your day and week and month and year there. That's the point.
Yeah, and release the mind of the decision making so that it can actually watch these things.
Yes.
That's when it gets
Get
interesting.
out of the way.
Yeah, get out of your own way.
Get out of your own way. It's the way I equate it is often. It's like, you know, I love going to movies. I know a lot of people love going to the movies. I don't know if you love going to the movies.
Well, we watched a lot of romantic comedies together, Mark. So.
Yeah, we did. I love rom-coms. I'm on.
Yeah, I know.
Officially. I own a lot. Whoever's listening to this, I'm a rom-com guy. I've probably seen 80 to 100. I love it just because of the magic that happens in some of them. And it does actually happen. It happens in my life. But what was the point of this? Movies. Now, what happens is people forget that they're actually sitting in the theater watching their life on this film. They get lost in the character that's on the film, and they don't know they're sitting in a chair in the auditorium. They don't know that there's actually you sitting in the chair eating popcorn and your favorite snack. Going, damn, look at what I'm doing. Oh no, man, am I going to go through with that? Snacking away, right? And it's like, you know, my nice hot beverage. You know, it's like, but people get lost in the drama of their own movie. So they don't know they have a chair in the theater. They forgot that they're sitting there. And what I like to do is remind them that they have a chair and you can have your favorite snack and not get too caught up in the drama of your own movie. Pull back. You know, sit in the back of the theater if you have to, if it's too intense in the front. You know what I'm saying? It's like, get some scale. Now, that's if they're at that place to be able to have that experience, because not everyone is aligned to have that experience. If they are, it comes at certain points. But once you see it, and once you're there and you're hearing what I'm saying, then those dots connect, and now you understand what the hell I was talking about. Not everyone will get it, or they'll get it intellectually, but they won't experience it. They won't embody it. And that's the key, is whatever I'm sharing or anyone shares it out of authority, the other one gets to experience it. Aha. That's what Mark was talking about. And that's especially true if you're emotional, because sometimes you get you right away. The emotional person doesn't understand you right away, but later down the road, they go, aha. So you got to understand people's designs too and how you communicate with them. Not everyone's going to get it right away. And it doesn't matter whether they get it right away. If it was you to give, if it was correct for you to give it, that's all you have to worry about. You don't even have to worry about it. You just give it. You gave it. It's done. Now, whether that seed germinates fully then, later, at all, it's not up to me. It's not up to them. Either it happens or it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Whenever and how it happens. A beautiful thing.
If it's going to happen,
yes,
to start round this off, if it's going to happen and people have to show up where you're doing these satsang Q&As for the at the conference,
yes,
get to experience this this well of wisdom, pull at that right mind. And I noticed that I'm happy that you had no choice in coming. My mind is observing that I'm getting excited to meet you again and be
Yes.
part of the Q&A. And I'm curious to see what or if I will ask some questions and get some wisdom.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to me too, because it's all brand new. Whenever I do these things, it's who the heck knows what's coming out. I don't know. I don't know what, the same question can give a different response. So I would suggest to everybody that has an opportunity to come. And maybe I have some impromptu ones throughout maybe a morning coffee where we sit around a table and do the same thing too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like doing the impromptu little chart readings too. Like just show me a chart. I'll just whatever impressions I get right off the bat. It's like psst, psst, psst. This is what I'm hearing. Boom. This is what I'm choo, choo, based on the mechanics and everything like that. So I look forward to meeting everyone there. And please don't be shy. I am not the one that's going to come up to everybody. As a passive body, right-minded projector, you'll need to have to on my door.
Yeah.
And
you're probably going to know where Mark is too, because you can hear him and the people
you can
laugh.
hear him, and
And
he's got a big head, and he's 6'2".
he's tall. He's got
Yeah.
a voice you can hear, and people will be laughing around him. So,
For all the humor, hopefully.
yes.
All right.
Oh, thank you so much for this conversation. That was it was amazing. I'll listen to it again many times.
Well, thank you for having me, and I appreciate reconnecting with you too, and look forward to doing it in person again because we had such a good time in Costa Rica.
Yes.
What a great experience, and I'll offshoot that. One thing was the design and getting in the information that was being shared on a scholastic level, intellectual scholastic level. But what was really great about the conference were the connections with people that were formed over time that have been really amazing connections, deep connections, ways that it was like soul group coming together that like people could identify with. Even if we go our separate ways to whatever degree, there was this connection that we could feel that you get in aura that you might not experience not in aura. So if anyone can make it in aura, I highly recommend you doing that.
Yes.
As much as possible, if it's correct, if it aligns. This is not a mental decision because Mark said it's better to get into some aura. It's not about that. It's about presenting the information. And if it's correct and you follow through on it and you see yourself moving towards it, embrace it and experience it and get something from it and enjoy it because it is there. Because there are people who poo-poo the in-aura group experience. They don't know any better. That's their opinion.
It really is a thing. It's like you're saying, like in Costa Rica, we spent like 2 weeks in this room together, and that is a special bond. And I also know that people from last year's conference have this similar experience that it's something special and we form these bonds. So absolutely come.
So let's form some more bonds, people. And especially my Norwegian friends, since my mother's side is from Norway.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm technically my heritage is 25% Norwegian.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother's other side's from Ireland, and then my father's side's from Latvia. So first generation on my dad's side. But yeah. But I am third generation American on my Norwegian and Irish sides from my mom's side. So my great grandparents married in Irish and Norwegian together.
Have you been? So you've been to Norway before, or
not this life? Some other Viking life.
I can picture you vividly.
I do past lives too, so there's these things also. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Brigitte.
You too, Mark.